Hey, welcome back. And today we'll be running through the summarized written text question type, which is the first task on the writing section of the PTE exam. When I first saw this question, just like the describe image, I had absolutely no idea of how I'm gonna approach this question type because it was quite confusing. When I saw the massive paragraph for the first time, I was really frightened. I was like, how am I supposed to summarize this whole thing into one sentence of 50 to 70 words? And I thought it might not be possible. It is extremely difficult. Later, I realized that all one needs to do is follow a proper structure, and that makes things a lot easier than what one would imagine it to be. Right, so let's get started with the scoring guide. Now, obviously here they're testing you on your reading and writing skills. They want to make sure that you can read the paragraph that's in front of you and summarize that into a one sentence summary. All right. Content. Now your summary needs to cover every key aspect of the paragraph. So that includes everything that you say that's important, and also you need to make sure that you do not miss any important points or important key factors that have been mentioned in the paragraph. Your form, well, it needs to be one sentence, so you've got to be really careful here. You've got to proofread your summary once you've written it to make sure that there's only one full stop, and you separate different clauses by a comma or a semicolon as need be. So if you've written your sentence in a proper one sentence format, you get 1 point. And even if you've got one single full stop somewhere in the middle, you get a 0. So be really careful here. Grammar. You need to make sure that your sentence has got a proper grammatical structure. Do not make any grammatical mistakes. Be very careful about punctuation. Be very careful as to where you use your commas, where you use your semicolons. And I would recommend going through your high school grammar basics. Obviously, you're going to find a lot of resources online for that. And if you're not very sure of your grammar, I would highly recommend going through a lot of resources. Not sure how long has it been for you guys who've completed high school, but I know sometimes you might forget your basics. So all one needs to do is go through a couple of grammar lessons, brush up your skills if you've got time to spare. That should definitely help. Vocabulary is extremely important on this test, and sometimes your vocabulary might affect your other scores as well. I think the best resource would be the collocation list that PT's got up on your website. I put the list down in the description below as well, for people who can't find it. But obviously vocabulary is not built overnight. It requires a lot of reading, a lot of writing, a lot of usage in your day-to-day life, and it's definitely not something that you can memorize overnight. Sometimes you might use the wrong word at the wrong time, so it's extremely important. I know it, like I said before, as vocabulary is important, but at the same time, you got to use the right word at the right time. So, do not try to memorize random words off a dictionary and try to put that in your sentence if you don't know what it means and you don't know how to use it properly. Because if you do that, you might get more marks on vocabulary, but then you'd lose marks in your grammar because grammatically it might not make any sense. So try to, if you've got some time, at least 3 or 4 days, learn 2 or 3 words and try to talk with your friends or somebody who can understand English properly and get some feedback off them. And the more you use those words, the more you're going to remember. All right? Okay. So, right. So, what tips one needs to follow? So, when you read a massive paragraph, obviously don't think about what you need to do. Just read through for meaning. If you it's very important to read through the full meaning. If you read those words individually, just for the heck of it, you're not going to understand what it is, and it's going to be really hard for you to summarize that into one sentence. So when you read that paragraph, it's extremely critical for you to understand what you're reading. When you're reading something, it should make some sense to you. And everybody has got a different method of reading and trying to understand what's written. For me, it's essentially reading aloud. And that's what I do. If it's a simple sentence, then it's fine. I read in my mind. But for some people, it's a little harder to understand a complex sentence. And sometimes if the sentence is really complicated, what I do is I read it aloud and try to understand what it means. The next thing is finding key phrases, and this comes with practice. I can't stress enough. If you want to find key phrases in a sentence, you need to practice. You need to understand what the meaning that sentence is trying to convey, and only then can you understand the key phrase in the topic sentence. A topic sentence is essentially the key sentence in a paragraph that primarily describes what the paragraph is trying to say. All right. The next thing is eliminate examples. So when you're reading a big paragraph, to summarize it, if there are any examples, get rid of them. You don't need to include them in your summary, because examples are not meant for one sentence summaries. They're just there for you to understand what's there. They're just helper words, but that's about it. You do not use them in your one sentence summary. Now, when you write, it's extremely important, like I said before, that your punctuations, spellings, and grammar are perfect if you want to score a top mark. Okay, so how does one practice? Now, there's so many resources available, and obviously books are my number one choice. Apart from that, newspapers or articles online. Now, I'm actually using an app that's really good. It's got no ads, it's got no nonsense. It's just a normal noise-free sort of news, as they call it. I've put a link to the app in the description below. I would definitely recommend downloading that app and going through all the articles, because it's very clean journalism. I actually like the quality of the way these guys write, and because it's free, there's no nonsense as such, and it's really straightforward. It's really simple, and hence I use it quite often, and it does help me. And not just for writing, it can help you for reading as well, because it's really high quality content in there, which has definitely helped me. So yeah, just give it a shot if you want to. All right, cool. Cheers. Right, now let's get to a couple of examples. Now, obviously, I'm going to run through to the next slide because I really can't wait, but I would recommend you guys pausing this video, reading through the paragraph to understand what meaning that paragraph is trying to convey. All right? Okay. So it's actually, well, there's 3 paragraphs there. So what we're going to do is we're going to split it into 3 sub-paragraphs. Now, in the first paragraph, the key points here are efficiency, profitability, and communities are cut in the name of efficiency. So these are the 3 key points that I've actually noted down. I can call them topic sentences or topic phrases. So that's your first task. You read through the whole paragraph and identify the key points of that paragraph. All right. So what I've done now, I have, according to economists, efficiency often equates to profitability. So that's what I've understood from this paragraph. In the next paragraph, I have highlighted the key phrases or the topic sentences. Those are obviously turn inefficient to private enterprises and social, environmental, human, and cultural costs. Yeah. So I would rewrite this in a simpler format. All right. So I would say privatization of inefficient national services incurs social, environmental, human, and cultural costs. So that's the meaning of this paragraph, right? Well, obviously I'm rushing through now, but I want you guys to pause the video when you want to and read through what I've done and try to understand what I'm doing here. Okay? All right. In the last paragraph, I've highlighted result of privatization. It causes economic benefits in the short term, but in the long term, it causes social and cultural damage. And the other key point is that these services are not businesses, but they're social provisions. All right, so I would summarize it this way. I would say privatization, although it leads to short-term economic benefits, it causes long-term social and cultural damage. And the other thing is that these services are social provisions and not businesses. So what I've done is, overall, I've simplified the paragraph. I've identified the key points and I have rewritten them in my own words. And bear in mind that there's no one correct way of writing a summary because, this is my way of writing. This is the way the book asks you to write, but you can write it in any way you want to. As long as you've got the key points, as long as your grammar is correct, as long as you don't make any spelling mistakes, as long as your punctuation is right, there's nothing stopping you from getting a full mark on the writing task. So I've identified from every paragraph a couple of key sentences that I've rewritten in my own words, and now I will summarize this into a simple sentence. So the sentence is: closure or privatization of inefficient national services may have short-term economic benefits, but can cause long-term damage both socially and culturally because some services are social provisions, not businesses. Right, so what I've done is I've essentially just taken the key points from every paragraph and I've merged them into one. I've summarized the summaries as well. Okay? It's that simple. It really is. But obviously, I really want you guys to practice and let's give it a week. Download the app. I'll tell you, download that app. Pick up an article, go through it, and try to summarize it yourself. Yeah, and then try to identify the key points and then match that summary against the key points. Now, this is an exercise for you guys. Pause this video when you want to and read through that paragraph. To help you, I have highlighted the key points. So what I want you guys to do is write a summary for this paragraph in the comments below. Okay? And I really want you to think about what you're writing and try to write a summary of 50 to 70 words. All right, thank you so much again for listening to my rant, and I'm really grateful. I do appreciate the feedback that you guys are providing me. I do appreciate your involvement in this. It's a journey of ours, and I'm hoping to upload another video around retail lecture soon. It's just I'm finding it really hard to juggle work and this, and I'll try my best to upload one as soon as possible. All right, thanks guys. Have a good day. Please like, please comment below, please subscribe to my channel. Let your friends know as well. Yeah, all right. Thanks. See ya.